Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining our EDC coffee chat this morning, Coffee with Colleen. We are excited to have two people from the governor's office, the Office of Regulatory I'm going to get this right here, Office of Regulatory Innovation and Assistance. It's ORIA. And today we have with us Annika, who is a small business program specialist, and Hugo Nicolas, a small business consultant. So we are excited to have them on board so they can share about the programs that the state has for small businesses in Washington state. So with that, just a few housekeeping items. If you would make sure your computer is on mute so we don't inadvertently hear any background noises, and or I'll put you on mute. And Hugo, I think I just put you on mute accidentally. But please feel free to ask questions. We like this to be an interactive experience. And so with that, I will pass it off to Annika and Hugo. Again, thank you for joining us. Take it away.
So I think we'll start by introducing ourselves. My name is Annika Pederson. I am the Small Business Program Specialist for ORIA. ORIA is the one of the cabinet agencies out of the governor's office. Our duty is to help small business owners navigate their regulatory process. My job specifically is to help with the small business workshops that ORIA and the SBLT does throughout the year. We do workshops for people that are looking to start a small business or looking to grow a small business. I also help manage our Washington State Business Fair that we do once a year in the fall. Hugo?
Hi, everyone. My name is Hugo. Thank you for having me here. I'm the small business consultant for the Governor's Office for Regulatory Innovation and Assistance, also known as ORIA. So a little bit about my role. So I facilitate the Small Business Liaison team, also known as the SBLT. Like Annika mentioned, so our main priority is to help businesses navigate the regulatory process. And I think that's a big word that sometimes I like to define it for people just to kind of get a picture. So we know as a business owner, you are going to have to register, license your business, and there's a process that can be lengthy. So we want to make sure we make that simplified because as we know, things are changing a lot faster nowadays from the federal level to the state level and the local level. So we want to make sure that we align that process to make it simpler, and especially for business owners when they are looking, that's when they are looking to start. But for businesses that are looking to grow as well, sometimes they don't even know where to begin or where to start that process. So that way we can help them save money as well as they're making decisions for their business. So that's a little bit about what we do.
Great. Thank you so much. And I've often thought that if legislators or agency directors understood how complex it is for a business to do all the quarterly reports, and especially though if they have any employees, it is so incredibly complex. And so I really appreciate that ORIA exists and that you guys are available to help. So yeah, we want to hear more about it. And I know you guys are coming in person with agency personnel to answer questions. And so I think and give individual assistance. So go ahead and share some more about that.
Yes. So one of the things that you mentioned, and I would say, so the Small Business Liaison team is a team of 29 different state agencies. So some will be regulatory, non-regulatory, and we have come together since probably, I believe, if I'm correct, 2015, to create content to help those businesses navigate. For example, one of the things that we get to see a lot of the times, like you mentioned, is when people are starting their business, is knowing a path and a guide that will help them navigate that and understanding everything they need to do. That can be very complex, and also as well for businesses that are coming from outside of Washington into Washington. We help businesses navigate that. The other thing as well, within those individual agencies, they provide their own content for us. So that way, everything will sit on business.wat.gov. Our website has about, I would say, 15 to 20,000 visits that we get in there. And on a yearly basis, we probably service at least 6,000 businesses with questions on, I am looking to start, what are the resources when it comes to questions that are specific to state services and programs. One of the things, I come from banking, so a lot of the times that I would run to with clients would be like, hey, where do I go when I have questions on, I'm looking to hire an employee, what type of taxes do I need to hold? And that was one thing that I never knew how to guide my clients. And once I got into this role, that I realized that there's a lot of services out there for businesses. For example, if your business qualifies, what is the reason you should become a certified business and how to contract with the state? If you have questions for L&I regarding the type of employees that you have or how you should classify them, they have a resource center where you can call them directly and ask those questions. From Department of Revenue, they provide those classes and trainings depending on your type of industry on how to better understand your tax reporting requirements. So a lot of it is out there. And I think the main priority is we just want to make sure that that's there. And we send everybody to the one-stop location. And then also people to be aware of what's out there. I don't know that all this information, right, when we come out there, the idea is to really connect with businesses, build transparency and trust, because a lot of the times when we are hosting events, sometimes like we're not very successful at advertising that. And one of the things that we're doing now, we try to make sure that we work together with local organizations that know the community, that know the business owners, so we can help us be more effective. So what we want to do is build that point of contact for all the different type of agencies, so business owners know that when they have a question, when something comes up, or when there might be something a little bit more complex, then we can direct them to those resources.
Well, great. Thank you. So Annika, do you want to talk about the event we're going to hold on February 22nd?
Absolutely.
Great.
So we're so excited to partner with Clallam County EDC so that we can bring one of our workshops, the Small Business Requirements and Resources Workshop, to Clallam County. We will be holding it on February 22nd at the PUD offices in Sequim. The address is 104 Hooker Road, Sequim, Washington. We are looking forward to giving presentations. We are going to have ORIA, SOS, Commerce, L&I, and a couple
Really
other.
quick, say what those are. I don't know that everybody knows.
Of course. My apologies, the government speak. So we'll have the Secretary of State's office, Commerce, ORIA, that's us, Hugo and I, Department of Revenue, L&I, and Employment Services Department. So we will give presentations on our agencies specifically, and then talk to you about the resources within these agencies that will be helpful to you as the business owner.
And then also businesses that have specific questions, problems with their accounts, or they can then ask the regulatory experts there in person as well, correct?
Absolutely. We will have high level government officials giving these presentations, and they are more than qualified to answer your questions regarding your business and what that has to do with their agency.
Terrific. So Lena, I hate to put you on the spot, but I know we previously were trying to get an answer to a question you had for Lena runs an accounting firm. And so we've got a lot of undocumented workers, migrants, and they of course want to be employed legally, and the employers want to employ them legally. What do you know what that process should look like? And if you don't have the answer today, or if Hugo doesn't have the answer, is there somebody there from DOR or somebody that will be prepared to answer that?
Yeah, so I cannot answer that question specifically. I have reached out to our LNI partners who would be able to answer that. And they're prepared to give an answer to that at the workshop.
Okay. And Lena, do you want to give a little bit more background
Well,
on?
the other question is there resources to help these, employees to become legal? And so the employers have people that want to work and they want to put them to work, but we also don't want to get into any trouble by employing them. And so I did some research onto what the rules are, and I know it's against the law technically to hire undocumented workers. And so so the employer could be open to some exposure for lawsuits and things of that nature. And so we just want to know what the best way to handle this is, especially in our region, because we have, potentially a lot of employees that could be undocumented. And so really it's how can we guide employers to work with the proper steps to be able to engage with those employees. And then also, is there a process or resources for the undocumented worker to become a documented worker?
Yes, that's a great question. I think we'll definitely have an answer for you at that event, because I want to make sure that we don't just get a response from LNI, but Department of Revenue too as well, and provide more context on that. So a lot of the people that will be attending this event, and specifically representing on behalf of these agencies, are leaders in their division, so they can provide a lot more context than I can. But yes, I think that's the reason why we want to have these events when this kind of questions come up, right? How can we solve that, and how can we have that conversation based on the needs of the business community? So we can follow up on that.
Absolutely.
Great. So does anyone have questions for Annika or Hugo specifically about their particular business? And you guys also help nonprofits, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So is there
I
any? Oh, go
I have
ahead,
one.
please.
What are the issues that you see in your agency the most at this time coming from small businesses? What are the things that come up the most?
So I would say, so there is two of them, and I would say primarily the most popular one would be somebody looking to start a business. When we look at the resources that we provide, and based on the data that we get, there's a lot of clicks to find that information. So when somebody's looking to start a business, they don't know how to begin. They know that, hey, I have a plan, I'm really great at this skill, or I have this idea, but then I don't know what are the licenses and all the process that I need to do. So there's a huge gap understanding that. And one of the things that we are seeing at the national level, there's more people wanting to start a business. So while they might want to start a business, they can Google it, right? But one of the problems they also run into is that there is businesses out there that could charge a lot of money just to create your operating agreement, to file and register those documents. I know that I've heard anywhere from $500 to $1,000, depending on the type of services that they provide. But these resources are available and they're there for you for free. The agencies can help with that. So that would be for people that are looking to start a business. For existing businesses, sometimes is all the different reporting that they need to do, all the permits or all the license. So when you have an idea of like, hey, I would like to get a liquor license, what does that process look like and where do I start? And what agencies do I need to report? Or now I'm going to hire employees. So those are the most popular questions that we get from the existing businesses and also the starting businesses.
I got another one.
For it, Laurel.
What are the most popular or most common types of businesses or sectors that get in touch with your agency?
That might be a little bit hard to answer. I will say, so the workshops that we have been doing across the state, so we've been to Wenatchee, Yakima, as well as Pasco and Pierce County. And one of the things that we noticed, it's very different every community that we go to. But I think the retail is there, and there's also self-employed as well. But it's gonna vary by community. I don't really have an answer. We get all across the board, from really small businesses to large businesses as well, and even foreign companies too.
That's great.
So, and I saw the question in the chat about, is there a website or webpage with information about the upcoming event? And on by 10 a.m., it'll be on business.wa.gov today. And then also we will send out in our newsletter on Monday information about it. And then you can, Rick, if you want some, a PDF or something, we can send that to you too, so you can send it out to your the folks that you work with.
Thanks, that'd be great.
Terrific. Okay, you know, oftentimes we try to help people that are trying to start up a business, and maybe, you know, they're looking at I want to be a trucker and need to do, we always tell them about doing market research first. And is there a way to find out about how many licenses, like say CDL licenses, there are in a particular county? Not even, I mean, I know you can look it up by a company's name to see if they have that license, but doing some market research, you know, we need to find out by location, and maybe it's by Forks or maybe it's by Squim. Is there a way to find that kind of information out?
So the one resource that I can think right now, and I don't know if it has the specific industry, is under commerce. So My Startup 365, which they will be attending our event, and they have a tool called Size Up, where you can kind of provide your zip code and the industry that you're, or the type of business that you're looking to start, and it will tell you what type of how many people have that type of business around the area. So I don't know if it'll have it that specific, but I know that's one tool. Now, in terms of licenses, I know that sometimes individual agencies will provide that data on their website. So that could be something that's available out there, but I am not fully aware of everything.
Okay. Yeah, we have weekly meetings with Commerce, and anyway, the head of that division is on there weekly. Actually, we have two times a week we meet with them. And I was not familiar with Size Up. I know there's so many resources there now. I'll put that in that link in there. in the chat, and you can check it out there. But so do you know who from Commerce will be joining on February 22nd?
I believe that's gonna be Lynn.
Oh, Lynn
Lynn
Longan.
Longan.
Yep.
Yep,
Okay.
she will be attending.
Great. We meet with Lynn every Monday morning.
That's
Perfect.
awesome.
There'll be a familiar face.
Yes, absolutely. And Annika, you used to be the legislative assistant for Mike Chapman.
Yes,
So
I was
very
with him for 3
familiar.
years.
Yeah, so you're very familiar with our area and appreciate you bringing this.
Well, I graduated from Port Angeles High School, so I'm very
Okay.
familiar with that area.
That's great. Hometown girl. I love that.
Yes.
So anyone have additional questions? This is a great prep for our event. And Sharon Ann Hamilton from the Small Business Development Center, SBDC, has also just added something in the chat here. Pathway for Growth, ORIA for Rules and Regs, CIE for Startup Moving Forward, SBDC for Growth via Consulting and Lending. Yeah, and then I think the EDC's specialty, I think, is around leasing or buying questions for, you know, which is the better way to go for them, or selling a business. We've got a lot of in-depth experience in those spaces. And we at the EDC are required to support, over 100 businesses per year by our contract with Commerce. So we as well do a lot of business advising with our partners, CIE and SBDC.
And I will add to that, one of the things that why it's so important to partner with technical assistant groups. So we obviously, as the state, we can walk everybody through the regulatory process and show everybody like what they need to know about their business. And then sometimes we get questions from somebody that might be starting a business about like, hey, should I be a sole prop LLC? What are my options? And sometimes obviously state agencies, we can obviously answer, like kind of highlight what the difference are, but we can't decide or kind of make that decision. So it's so important that we have local organizations that provide that technical support, so then they can specifically walk somebody through that process and what might be the best option based on their business plan.
And we'll also have Rebecca Miller there at the event. She is our counties, and she handles Clallam and Jefferson counties small business procurement questions. So if there's a business that is interested in getting a contract with the federal, state, or local government agencies, she is the advisor with that. And I think, Rebecca, do you think Gabriel will be able to join as well? He's we're in the process of hiring him with the Apex Accelerator program at the Clallam EDC.
About that, but I wasn't sure. I'm sorry, Colleen, what was your question about Gabriel?
Well, I was just saying you'll be there as well, and I'm guessing February 22nd he'll be on board and he'd be there as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Yep.
Can I just ask, since this team is on here, do you guys help small businesses with certifications? Whether it be like women-owned, minority-owned, hub zone?
Mm-hmm.
So specifically, we have the connection. So OMWBE, that will be the agency that actually does that process. So they are part of the small business liaison team. We can definitely ask them to be there at the event as well.
Great, because that is something that I specifically can help businesses with. In fact, I can now pre-screen hub zone applications. I got my last one through in 7 days, which
Wow.
was extraordinary.
That's awesome.
That's great. Yeah, and just so everybody knows, hub zone certification means that you're located in an area of economic distress, and there are set asides that the government especially federal government, have, that if you are Hub Zone certified, that you kind of have a leg up. Is that fair, Rebecca?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
because they've got goals. They like check marks. They ask me all the time to find companies, with these certifications. And I don't know if anybody on this call listened in on the Department of Commerce's call. I think it was last week, about the federal certifications being kind of at risk. I don't know how many people are aware of that. Because because of a lawsuit, and I can't remember, it was, I believe, somewhere in the South, but it was a white male owner of a company suing SBA because he does not believe that women, minorities should get an advantage. And so that program is sort of at risk right now, and we're anxious to see how all of that turns out.
So is that gone to the Supreme Court?
That's a fair question where it is right now. Commerce, when we were on the call last week, we're just sort of listening to see what happens with all of that. My understanding is that Washington State will still be issuing things through OMWBE, so we can have our kind of own, but it's gonna, I think it could really shake up the contracting landscape a lot.
Got it. Thank you.
So I have a different question. Does your organization assist with grants, like matching business owners up with potential grants that are available through Department of Commerce or anything like that?
So that's one thing I would mention. So we have something available on business.wat.gov under resources. However, I would say those are very generic grants that are available through the federal level or that are just kind of open throughout the year. One thing I will mention, we have the Economic Business Resilience newsletter that gets sent out every second Thursday of the month. And one of the things that we try to provide there is different regulatory changes that are happening. And the other thing as well, any new grants that are currently available. So if there's ever grants specifically through Commerce, we try to share those, as well as any other events or technical support that might be available. And specifically from our end, we provide that information in terms of what grants might be there available. But I think for that specific answer, Commerce will be the ones that obviously usually house those, and they would provide the information. From our end, we just try to make sure that businesses are aware of that, because I know they sometimes it can be difficult to navigate that or even know when there's grants available and what's out there, as well as also contracting opportunities that might be open to as well. So I would say we don't specifically help with those grants. We provide information about what grants are currently available, and as well as when we build the partnerships with local organizations, and specifically if they're looking to, because one of the things that I've noticed is that when there is grants available, either by different type of at the local level, sometimes it's kind of hard to distribute that information, so it gets to business owners, and we just try to promote that. But yeah.
And that would be generally just the state grants available, right? No federal grants.
Correct, just the state, primarily.
And then one other question I had, and I just don't know the answer, is if there's any thought, or maybe it already exists, to have a collaborative work group with all of the players at the table to talk about, each, as Sharon Ann posted in the chat, there are several different organizations helping businesses. Do all of those people have, or do they have a collaborative work group so that they can talk about information and share information amongst each other to provide more information for business owners?
I would say currently I'm starting the idea because that's one of the things that I think can definitely improve. And one of my biggest things that the reason why I believe it should start at the state level, for example, is because, and specifically through the regulatory process, because 75% of businesses go, for example, through the Secretary of State. So when somebody's starting a business or when somebody needs information, I feel like it's in our role to make sure that we provide those resources to businesses and specifically highlight their local community and what's currently available there. Currently, there's not a specific one that's out there where like a business owner can be like, what is the ecosystem around me that can help me support that? So I think starting at the state level with the different agencies, that would be a great way to kind of make sure that when those businesses are starting, because I mean, like I mentioned, Department of Revenue, Secretary of State, they get thousands of requests and questions when somebody's like, hey, I just know that I'm supposed to start here, or I think I'm supposed to start here. And they get kind of lost through that process. So I think that's an opportunity for us to capture those and help them and direct them to those resources. But I think, like you mentioned, there's not a specific group right now, but I think it's a work in progress of how can we do that better. And I think the other thing as well that Annika would be working on is just doing outreach to businesses of what are things that we can do better and improve. So
You
Yeah,
guys
I know.
work with- Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead. I was gonna say, I know locally we have some work groups and across different agencies that have started to develop and some of them have been in place for several years. And I think it's been a really positive momentum to share information and know what resources are available. And I just think it would be a good opportunity for this one. And sometimes business owners, especially people that are just starting to get in, deciding to open a business and all of that, they're kind of afraid of government. So having some sort of connection with a non-government person first might allow them to be comfortable with bringing in government regulators. And, my perspective has always been, it's always better to know what you're supposed to be doing ahead of time rather than to get in trouble later. But some people are kind of resistant to working with government agencies.
Hugo, are you familiar with TA Tuesdays, Technical Assistance Tuesdays that the Washington Economic Development Association puts on?
yes,
That
I'm familiar with that.
SBDC hosts things on, I think, the second Tuesday of every month. And that's a great resource sharing opportunity as well for the technical assistance providers.
Yes, and I would say because definitely we want to make sure that we're connected to those resources because obviously we get questions from businesses and they come from everywhere and sometimes they're very specific needs and obviously we know that some organizations might be good or very good at this and then some might be stronger at something different. The other thing that I will add, Lena, that you kind of brought up was regarding on kind of connecting those resources, but also there's that trust. And I think that's what we're trying to do with this workshop. That's why we work with local organizations, because we want to make sure that you are kind of the bridge of helping us make that connection. And also the reason why we're trying to do things a little bit different instead of us doing an event during work hours, right, where somebody has to go and open their business, that we do it in the evening where we're available there and they can have the time to, close their business and show up to our event. So we're trying to be mindful of that. And I think for us, that's like the step how we build that trust and that connection. And obviously it's not going to be perfect, but I believe that's a start for us.
Great. Annika, how many people work in ORIA in that agency, cabinet agency department?
It's a very small agency. I believe there is, including me, 11.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're small, but we're mighty, and we definitely help with assisting. Our SBLT is a lot larger. Goodness, I think, Hugo, we have what,
29.
60? Well, 29 agencies, but like our work groups can be pretty large.
Oh, yeah.
Got it. Okay, does anyone else have any other questions? Yes, Sharon Ann put in the chat that CIE, EDC, and let's see, Apex, SBDC, we have a work group now, and maybe that's something that we could potentially expand to, you know, some accounting firms in case they wanted to join and share some information. Let's see. So does anyone else have any specific questions, or we might make this a short coffee chat this morning? So again, it's going to be February 22nd at the Clallam PUD building on Hooker Road. It starts at I think 5:45.
5:45, yes.
Yep. Yeah.
One question, has there been other meetings like this, or is this the first one that your agency has done?
No, we've done others in the past. This will be
But
our
not-
first in Clallam County.
Yeah, first in Clallam County, but they've been doing them across the state. So we're hoping to get businesses, and we'll definitely be getting the information out to accounting firms that have clients that might have some specific questions, so they could go in person and ask the experts if they've been struggling with something. And we'll definitely be partnering with SBDC and CIE and the Apex clients as well to, you know, ensure that they're aware of it. Okay, well, thank you very much. If we don't have any other, oh, and it's 5:45 p.m., not a.m. So if we don't have any other questions.
Hey, Colleen, I have a question.
Yes, please, James.
Can you please put the details in the chat? I mean, you said PUD building, but that's all I heard.
Yep. And it'll be out on the newsletter, and we'll also have it on our website under our events page, so clallam.org. But yeah, I will go ahead and put it in the chat.
It will be on business.wa.gov as well, starting at 10 a.m. We will have opened our registration link.
But people can attend if they don't register. Is that right?
Mm.
We prefer that they register so we know how many folks to expect, because we'll have food. We'll be providing food for everyone. And yeah, so just, you know, we want to have a good turnout, since people are going to be traveling from the I-5 corridor to answer questions that businesses might have.
So is it kind of like open house? You can come whenever, it just starts at 5:45, or like, do you need to be there at 5:45?
I can add a little bit more about that. So I would say every agency would have about 10 to 15 minutes to present a high-level overview of what they do and the services and programs. And there will be definitely opportunities at the beginning for tabling, and then at the end. And obviously, they'll be able to answer the questions. They'll be able to ask questions during the presentation or afterwards if they want to make it more individual.
All right, thank you.
Terrific. So I will put the information in the chat, or Lori or Mitch, can one of you guys do that? And send it out to everyone there, or just in the chat would be great. Okay. Well, Rick, do you have any further questions, or Sharon? Rebecca? If not, I think we will call it a morning. So
Thank you.
enjoy your 20 minutes back. And thanks, everyone. Have a great day. We appreciate you joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.